Okay. And let's move on. While 2025 has truly turned out to be the year of IPOs on D Street, the primary market, of course, witnessed a record-breaking run with companies raising nearly 1.75 lakh crores via public issues, strong investor appetite, robust valuations, and a very steady pipeline kept the momentum alive throughout the year. And of course, the buzz isn't fading anytime soon, with marquee names like Reliance, Jio, Oyo, and PhonePe lining up for listings. All eyes are now on 2026, which promises to be even bigger and better for the IPO market. My colleague Ashesha caught up with a whole host of experts to try and understand the same.
This was a record year for IPOs. We've had 102 IPOs thus far, with 1.75 lakh crores being raised. And one interesting aspect to note here is that this comes on the back of 2024, which was also a record year. And actually, this is the first time in India's IPO history that you've had all-time high record years. You've typically seen that one all-time high year is then succeeded with two or three tepid years. But this shows the kind of activity which is taking place. Of course, the pipeline, there is an amazing confluence of supply and demand which you are seeing right now. And the supply of issuers coming to the IPO market is essentially on the back of demand coming in from domestic institutional investors. As we know, retail investors are pumping in on a month-on-month basis through SIPs, and all that money is actually finding its way into the primary market as well. So that's really the main reason why you're seeing this supply of issues. And you've seen all kinds of companies from various different sectors, different sizes hit the market. You've seen the new age technology companies, the startups which have come to the market. You've seen MNCs listing their subsidiaries in the market. And at the same time, you've also seen your traditional Indian promoter, your manufacturing and industrial businesses coming to the market. And the reason for all of it is common. The valuations which they are getting in the primary market are extremely attractive, and this is what is fueling the supply. In fact, the pipeline as we speak, in 2025, you've had 247 companies filing their offer documents with SEBI. So, all things considered, 2026 looks likely to be a record year as well.
Okay, so 2026 is also expected to be a record year. That's the word coming in. But Mr. Solanki, coming to you then, several renowned investors have also recommended caution on primary market euphoria. Would you agree that investors should perhaps be cautious instead of being swayed away by broader market euphoria? And there is also a lot of chatter around mutual fund buying in select IPOs, even when valuations recommend otherwise. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, in terms of valuation, if you ask me, so definitely the multiples have what we have seen right now for the IPOs have been on the higher side if you compare it with something with 5 years back. But I think I would like to use a different word. Instead of caution, I would like to say that investors should always evaluate each and every IPO. And this exercise should be done by each and every person, keeping in mind his own return expectation and as well as investment horizon. Definitely study is one of the premise for investing into any IPO. Now coming to the valuation part, so broadly we have seen that IPO market in India has structurally changed over the years. Earlier we used to see a lot of companies which were which were operating into some kind of physical kind of a sectors like manufacturing. Either they were producing some kind of a product related to B2B segment or maybe B2C segment. But right now, what we are seeing is that a lot of companies are coming out with an IPO which are more technology oriented, and they have a software kind of a product or services a kind of a product. So this has been a structural change, wherein larger part of the IPOs are of the companies which are more into, I would say, services sector or software as a services kind of a sector. Hence, there is a shift in terms of business model as well as shift in valuations as well, because these kind of companies tend to have very high leverage benefits going ahead whenever they are into a high growth path. Then the leverage benefit which drives the bottom line is very huge in these kind of companies' hands. There is some sense as well in terms of why these IPOs are coming at higher valuation. But yeah, definitely we have seen over the years the valuations tending to go on the higher side. So that is the factual data. But I think we have to also find out the reasons and then study all the IPOs independently, and then maybe deciding on each and every IPO whether to invest or not would be a better exercise to do.
Okay, so you should study each and every IPO independently. That's the advice coming in. But let's keep the discussion going with respect to valuations. And Mr. Agarwal, do you believe IPO valuations have become more aggressive in 2025 compared to prior years, or is it that is it the other way around? Are high valuations leaving limited upside for investors whenever they subscribe to an IPO? What is your view when it comes to valuations?
Thanks for having me on the show. I think valuation again is subject to the kind of business or sector from which the company is seeking fund for. But overall, if you look at a broader valuation metric, I think as we speak, most of the companies are either coming at a fully discounted valuation, and hence there is a very limited upside on limited upside for a new incoming investor, and that is the reason you see that. I believe if you look at the data, I think 50% of the issues this year would have listed below the issue price, and maybe 50% would have given a return on the listing day, and post that the trend has continued. So I think that clearly shows that valuation is something which is not very attractive for each and every issue. Again, that depends on the kind of business or the sector from which the company is getting listed, and what are the peer companies which are trading within that sector, what are their valuation in that respective sector.